one of the chapters you talk about your decision-making process, and you mentioned make a decision on the front end and then manage it on the back end.
Yep.
I enjoyed that chapter. Could you break down for everybody what you kind of mean by that?
Well, so let's see if any of you can relate to this. I had a healthy fear of getting married, and then once I'm married, then I would meet the woman of my dreams. And then all of a sudden now I'm a potential divorcee. Did any of you have that anxiety? Because I did. Like I couldn't get too, as soon as, the problem I always had, I'd get close to a girl, because I'd chase girls, and then they'd come towards me. I'd start pulling back, then they'd pull back, then I'd chase them again, and then they get closer, and then I'd pull back, like, what's wrong with me? So, but I bet you a lot of guys have this problem. What's that?
I said they're too afraid to admit it.
Yeah, or, can you hold the mirror up? Like, it was an issue that I had. But so then I started thinking about that train of thought, like, well, listen, you make a decision on the front end. Like, can I make the decision to marry this woman? And in that same decision making, can you say no to 4 billion other women? Because it's not just saying yes to one, it's saying yes to one and no to 4 billion. Not like the 4 billion are that interested in you to begin with, right? You got to have a sense of humility with it too, but you got to say no to everybody else and yes to one. Can you do that? And that's hard to get your mind wrapped around that, but you get your mind wrapped around that, you make the decision, and then you just manage that decision for the rest of your life. So no matter what situation I'm in, because as you know, we go to these conferences and sometimes sometimes the alcohol can be a little too loose, and sometimes there can be some infidelity opportunities that present themselves. Well, I don't have to make a decision in the moment. I've already made the decision when I said I do. That's making the decision on the front end and managing that decision for the rest of my life. That's what that is. That's just a grand scale way of looking at that. But same even with the business. I decided to become an owner. I had to kind of weigh that out. Okay, become an owner. Am I really ready to go through all the mental abuse of like building a crew, losing a crew, building a crew, losing a crew, the rejection after rejection? Like my kids asked me the other day, Dad, how many no's do you think you got in the field? I'm like, 50,000? Woo! And I was telling them how many people I interviewed. I'm like, yeah, I think I probably interviewed 20,000 candidates. 20,000. I'm like, yeah. Like just like, so you, back to the question of like commitment, can you make the decision on the front end to become an owner with all the information you have? Can you commit to that? Oh, I don't know, that means I'm saying no to everything else and job opportunities. But once you get to the point that you can commit to that and make a good decision, well, then all I have to do is manage that decision throughout the process. So on the days I got discouraged and was ready to quit, son of a gun, I already made the damn decision to become an owner. Guess I got to go back in the office tomorrow. I didn't have to make a decision in an emotional state.
Sure.
The decision was made on the front end, and you managed the decision on the back. So those are two examples, career-wise and wifey-wise. That's just a good way to do it. And it's hard to make a good decision on the front end. So sometimes, when I was living in Minnesota and had to make a decision to move back to California, this was back in 2020 that this happened. I flew to California, met up with a couple wise counsel, I call them, told them my dilemma. I just moved the family out to Minnesota. My wife's from Minnesota. We're living on a lake. I got a dream home out there, but I do not want to live in Minnesota. I love California. I want to come back to California. Help me through this process. Help me make a good decision. And these two individuals just asked me a lot of really good questions that I took good notes and had these I summed it up into 5 good questions I need to be asking myself. So then when I went back to Minnesota for the next couple months, I'm looking at these questions, made the decision to move back to California.
Okay.
And then no looking back after that.
Yeah. Okay.